Hey, Jeff here, your YouTube reviewer of New England brews, and welcome back. Today another one from the White Birch Brewery of Hooksett, New Hampshire. And this is from their Apprentice series. The Apprentice who brewed this one, his name is Christian Weber. And this is the Apprentice series, a Colonial Ale in the smaller container. The beer itself is cedar aged. And they do sell this in a larger container, but I just happen to have here the smaller container that's available in. So, as usual, White Birch puts on here a good amount of information that's really helpful for people who really like to know more about their beer. This particular bottle was brewed July of 2011. And this is from batch number 1. And this is bottle number 744. And the alcohol by volume, ABV on this, is 6.8%. Not quite sure how to define this. My understanding is that the brewer did a whole lot of research looking into recipes from the 18th century to try to emulate the 18th century style of brewing. And that's what he came up with, was the Colonial Ale. It's aged in cedar barrels, as I mentioned. The yeast that's in this is the old form of yeast, the wild yeast, the Brettanomyces yeast, which is more popular in Belgian-style ales for the most part, or that's where you find it more often. But it's also very good for barrel fermenting. So that was added in to, I think, sort of draw out and draw attention to the fact that this is meant to be tasting like something would have tasted 150, 200 years ago. So I'm looking forward to that. So if I'm going to be drinking an old-style ale, I probably ought to put it into an ornate, old-style mug that I've had for a long time. Had this for probably close to 20 years myself. Nice decorative mug that was given to me as a birthday gift one year. So, get the cap off on this. Oops, stormy, stormy, smoky, smoky, and foamy, foamy. My goodness, lots of foam coming up here. So, before it goes overboard, let me pour some of it in here. I may not be able to get all this in here because it's so foamy. So, I may be drinking a lot of foam right now. My goodness, that's all right. I'll just take my time on that. So, set it up here so you can kind of get a look at the bottle itself. Well, right now I notice a real vibrant aroma coming off this, even in this small amount that I poured. The full amount that's in here is probably only about 7 or 8 ounces because of all the foam that built up on top. You know, a lot of foam here, fluffy, light tan foam. So, but there's a lot of carbonation going on there. The color on this is more of a medium amber with maybe a hint of red in it as well, but more in the medium amber range. Reddish brown, let me call it that. That might be something that I think I can stick to that one and be comfortable saying it's a reddish brown color. So, let's give it a whiff. You definitely get that nice barrel wooden sensation, and the yeast is quite potent on this. It's very unique in its aroma. It has a nice sweetness in a way, at least you know, right off the top. I notice a real sweet, but a sturdy sweet kind of maltiness in here. But the yeast is the most. The yeast in the barrel, the cedar barrel, is probably the most obvious aromas that I'm getting here. And it does have the sort of soft aroma that you get frequently with a good spicy Belgian style brew. I'm not saying it's spicy, it just has a unique aroma that's just very enticing. And I think it's really the yeast that's coming out strong on this one. So, let's give it a taste. Brush off that foam mustache. Nice body. I'd put it in the medium to bold range. Medium, more closer to medium. You know, it's definitely not thin, but it's got some punch to it, some body to it, some fullness to it. But this is definitely a smooth beer. Incredibly smooth, easy to drink. You're getting a good malty sensation with that kind of candied sugarness, a sugar sweetness that often accompanies a Belgian style. But you're really getting more of a malty sweetness here, with a with just a hint of wood, you know, from the cedar barrels. And maybe that's all psychological. Maybe because I know it's brewed in cedar barrels, I'm getting a feeling that there are cedar or some kind of a wood sensation going on. But really, it's really just a unique taste and a unique aroma. It's smooth. I'd say a slightly not a slightly dry-ish finish, not overly dry, but there's a bit of a hop bite at the end. I just finished that entire glass because there was so much foam in there, but it's definitely it's really got some nice characters going on here. The malts are pretty straightforward on this, and you know, it makes me wonder sometimes when I drink something that is meant to emulate recipes that are 200 years old, whether this is the way it may have tasted 200 years ago or not. You know, it makes you wonder. It makes me wonder anyway. And I don't think there's any way I'm ever going to find out, but there's definitely a nice uniqueness to this. I could understand why White Birch chose Mr. Weber as an apprentice for this, because this brew really does have some nice characters, nicely balanced, a nice taste, very smooth, very, you know, relaxing to some degree, and just quite enjoyable. Something you can sort of sit down, enjoy maybe while you're reading a book or just kind of relaxing and just having a brew on the side. I think it's quite good. It's a very nice first effort by this new brewer. And again, this is White Birch's Apprentice Series Colonial Ale. Thanks for stopping by. I'll catch you again next time.